Hello, I'm Doug Benedict, and welcome to Butler Esports interview series, where we're interviewing sports leaders, owners, and industry experts in the evolving world of esports. Today's interview is with Jim Braun. Jim attended Washington State University, where he received a Bachelor's of Arts in Communications and a Master's in Athletic Administration. Jim's experience include roles in athletics at St. Louis University, University of Colorado, GM at Learfield Sports IMG, Vice President at Alliance of American Football, and now as Director of Sponsorship Sales with Allied Esports Entertainment. Thank you for joining us, Jim.
You bet, Doug. Glad to be here. Thanks for reaching on out.
So jumping right in, how did you get your start professionally? What was your path to esports here?
So my path to esports is a little non-traditional, and I had a long career in traditional sports. Had a reputation of being a fix-it, so I would go to some places that needed a little bit of help in certain areas, mostly on revenue generation, and because of that, you tend to, in athletics, it's nomadic. You move around a lot, and so we were doing that as a family. And as my family grew, we needed to get to a point where we became more stable, and that stability really came to fruition as I was working with the Alliance of American Football, one of those spring football leagues, much like the XFL this past year. We were the iteration the year before, and was helping Salt Lake start their football Alliance of American Football team, the Salt Lake Stallions. And it was really easy. I was helped start the USL team, soccer team here in Vegas, and wanted to expand the role. And I'm a football guy to begin with. So the Alliance called. I went. It was easy commute from Vegas, just 5-hour drive. And so I did that. During my time in Vegas, I got to know the HyperX Esports arena. And just because it was new, it was fresh, it's an unbelievable facility. And there were some components that I thought the soccer team would benefit if with a partnership with the arena. That never came to fruition. But I stayed in touch with the leadership at the HyperX Esports arena, to the point of the Alliance for American Football had their quarterback draft on CBS Sportsnet, and it was done at our arena because we're a big production house that happens to focus on esports but can do a lot of other things. So the GM and vice president of venues, Mark Green, he and I just maintained communication throughout the process. Hey, you have our draft here. Looks great. Congratulations. I can't wait for the draft to see how awesome your facility is. And long story short, the Alliance of American Football ran out of money. We folded in April of 19, and I was jobless. So I packed up my stuff, drove home, and Mark had said that, hey, we need a sponsorship guy here at the HyperX Esports Arena, and would you be interested in that? And jumped at the chance because of the technological components that this place has, the unbelievable facility and uniqueness that it provides the customer. And additionally, we have this unbelievable 70,000 pound rolling esports stadium, mobile stadium, the HyperX Esport truck. And Mark asked that I kind of handle the management and selling of that as well, to bring esports to basically the arena experience to other places around the country. So that's how I got into esports. My background in revenue generation, sponsorship sales definitely helped. It's taken me a little while to understand the ecosystem of esports, how it works, where the money goes, who do we talk to as prospects, but it's been unbelievably fulfilling. I've had countless colleagues on the traditional side call me and ask me, hey man, what's up with this esports? And I'm like, listen, I'm like 3 months ahead of you of my understanding. So I'm now a year and a half in, so I feel a lot more comfortable in explaining at least my perspective on what esports is and how to monetize it and really capitalize on the popularity, specifically now with the craziness that COVID has provided. So that was a very, very, very long story of like, how'd you get into esports? So I appreciate you asking, Doug. Thank you.
Now, all along the way, though, like what would be some of the highlights from before you got to esports, I guess?
Yeah. Boy, helping different university and athletic departments and sports franchises recognizing their true value and connecting sponsors and fans and eyeballs to the sport, while at the same time having the connectivity between the affinity of the sport, the fan of the sport, and the product that somebody is offering. That's been extremely beneficial, specifically in this role, because of how the esport ecosystem really, and as I've learned, really support those that support it. It's kind of crazy. It's very collegial in that way, very tribal in that way, and we're seeing it now with the sponsors that we have here with the arena, some of our endemic ones, and then a couple of the non-endemic. How their involvement into esports helps build a brand new customer base that maybe they wouldn't have been able to reach or talk to. And that's what we are allowed to do because of how awesome our facility is. It's truly amazing. In the past year, we had the entire University of Nebraska leadership team, along with their football staff, come through here because they want to put a facility at Memorial Stadium. Why? To attract a younger fan base. Tom Ricketts, the owner of the Cubs, came through and tell me about esports. And this is all this one was during CES. Fenway Sports Properties, the guys that handle and own the Red Sox, came through, did the same exact thing, trying to find out how to integrate esports into their traditional sports to help raise the age demo for their fan base. And esports is a fantastic way to do it. So, like I said, I'm only a couple months ahead of those guys when they would walk through, and but it helps to provide guidance and ideas on why this is important, how it can be beneficial to their organization, and then lastly, how to monetize it within that organization.
Absolutely. So go ahead.
Yeah. And so the other thing is that we are 0.3 miles away from that big, fancy, juicy stadium here in Las Vegas. Yeah. I could walk out the door that I'm looking at and in 9 minutes be at the front gate of that stadium. So the location that we have is the value proposition it provides is truly unique. And that's why I think we're the greatest esport facility in the country. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So Allied Esports Entertainment, you may have touched on this already, but what would you say the mission, what are you trying to achieve, overall, what would that be?
Our mission is to provide world-class esports entertainment to a needed audience. And our subsets of our mission is we want to have fun. We want to provide unbelievable experiences. We want to have the best food and beverage component within that. We are in we would have expanded already to a couple of different markets. We have a deal with Simon Properties, which is a large, I think they're the largest mall managers in the country. As tentpole stores leave malls, how are you going to attract younger audience? Well, call Allied Esports Entertainment, let them open a facility in your mall, and then we'll keep bringing foot traffic to those locations. So we have a agreement with them. Again, we were scheduled to open. That obviously in 2020 everything is paused. It's just a big hole in the life calendar, and but that'll come back, and so we'll continue the expansion. But that goes along with our mission of just having fun, putting on great experiences, and we just want people to enjoy themselves. We want to put on real quality competition. There's always and we'll get into this a little bit later here in our conversation, but are we esport competitors or are we esport entertainers? And if you watch our Twitch streams at HyperX Esports Twitch HyperX Esports Arena, if you search it, it's a bunch of letters, but if you search it, you can see the shows that we produce every Friday and Saturday. And so we are esport entertainers. Now the quality of play is really high. Or do we want to go straight with esport competition where we host League of Legends Worlds, we'll host the EA NHL championships here at the arena. So it's a little bit of that. We do a lot with game publishers, where they will run, because of our facility, they'll run their either regional finals or American final or subset of what their finals might be here in our facility, because we can produce it, and again, it's high level competition. So there's a balance of where we are. Are we entertainers or are we competitors? And I think we offer a little bit of both.
Yeah. So your role specifically, what does your daily look like? What are you trying to do? Yeah.
Yeah. My role is to really monetize the building. What that entails is, in the endemic world, we could have an endemic, meaning those companies that are specifically geared to esports. HyperX, for example, Newegg, our main arena partners. They are all IT and peripheral type businesses. So they're endemic to esports. They want to grow within that industry. Not that it's easy, but you can have conversations with, and they have exclusivity with us. So their competitors, we could easily talk to and say, hey, this is an opportunity for you. Would you like to explore it? XYZ peripheral company. So that endemic is not say easy, but it's easier to have that conversation because we're talking the same language within esports. The non-endemic side is what I'm really trying to focus on. Getting a QSR, quick serve restaurant, Raising Cane's, or McDonald's, or a Capriari's, which is a sandwich chain out here. Seeing that what we offer speaks to the esport audience. We have a couple. Volkswagen, for example, sponsors our Mario Kart tournament every Saturday. We did a tickets for test drive promotion, where if you get free gameplay in the arena if you go down and test drive at Findlay Volkswagen. And because of that, like, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that connectivity. The goal is for them to sell a car. And that's pie in the sky, but they sold a car based on the promotion here. So you got to look at their investment into our place. How is it compared to the investment they do with the hockey team in town? How is it in comparison to the soccer team that's in town, the Raiders, all that sort of thing? So I think we provide an unbelievable value proposition where we talk to a new audience, where you're not just talking to the sport fan, you're talking to, we did a lot for the Volkswagen thing. We put a gaming pod at the dealership. We put Nintendo Switches in the back of a Volkswagen. So it's like basically an esport car. And they sold the car, which is really crazy to me. I was pretty happy to see. So back to my role is to, again, monetize the building, find opportunities within our building that a sponsor would like. And then the other thing is to get our truck out on the road. We were going to have a massive year with our truck. 33 events were scheduled. And it varies. We were South by Southwest, WrestleMania, College Game Day Tour. I mean, there was a lot that was going to be involved with the truck. But again, COVID has killed live events. And so we're doing drive-in movies with it, a lot of localized stuff. We just did a activation with some TikTokers that see gaming as another vertical for them to enter into. You're famous on TikTok. Well, let's get famous on Twitch now. And so again, it's all about how they can monetize their brand. So that's kind of my day to day. Right now, we're wearing a lot of different hats too. I'm not just the revenue guy. I can fire up the building. Because we have time. I ask our producers, our engineers, teach me how to do this. Let me know, just so I have a better understanding. I don't want their job. I just want to know how to do it in the event that, like how I run my department is, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, somebody could pick it up and go. It's just similar to what they do. We have a very strong, cohesive staff here, and I think that's one thing that's really important, and what's helped our growth, because we're continually trying to find new opportunities. We have European presence, and Europe is a little more mature in the esport market. we did a CS:GO and Valorant tournament over the past 5 weeks, and I think we were generating in total we had 1.2 million viewers. Those are huge numbers, especially for us, because you'll probably find out that on a stream you either get 30 people to watch or you get 20,000. There's not a lot of that middle, and so you have to be really good to get 20,000, and we were doing it. So getting back to your original question, that's kind of what my day-to-day looks like. It's really prospecting, finding opportunities. And I have a unbelievable colleague, Karen Carlo, that handles the event sales component of the arena. So she'll talk to the Activisions, she'll talk to the Riots of the world, and they'll bring an event in here. And it's all game predicated, game specific. So and we're in Vegas, so it makes it easier.
Yeah,
and we're in Vegas.
Yeah. So with all the different things that you're doing, jumping into esports, were you given any advice when you first started? Was there anyone who reached out or that you reached out to and said, what is this world all about?
We have on staff, we're Ryan Paladin is kind of he's an not older guy, but he's older from our typical staff members under 30. Ryan's 35, but he has his passion for gaming is unbelievable. I'll send you an article that when we reopened, our local media picked up on. He can talk esports and explain. I use him on tours all the time to help explain to Ford Automotive why esports is important, because he's the passion he shows for what esports is, how it can be impactful, the connectivity, and I'll say that word probably a few more times in there. The connectivity that esports brings to the audience is what is the growth segment. So I lean on him a ton. I don't lean on him as much anymore because he's given me a lot of information. But if I need, hey, tell me about this game, what is going on here? Like Fall Guys right now is really popular. My kids love it. We don't do anything with Fall Guys. They don't do custom servers, but I think it would be huge to do a Fall Guys weekly tournament here. And it's much like Valorant, it's new, so you're not running into these buzzsaws. Like we do a Fortnite tournament in the arena every Friday. The quality of play is crazy, and I have parents, oh, my kid's awesome at Fortnite. I'm like, oh, okay. Just because you shoot, you got par in the first 5 holes of a golf course, I mean, you can compete with a good college player or a pro. So it's kind of like that, and it's humbling, But that's how I really got into understanding esports, because I played I think every guy that goes through college has a video game system, whether it's Sega or Super Nintendo. I'm aging myself a little bit, but I mean, I remember NHL '94. I remember playing GoldenEye and Mario Kart and breaking controllers and looking at my roommate going, "Why'd you break the controller, man?" But that's kind of how my growth within the industry. It's new now though because of the popularity that these teams have, and I think there was always a stigma that it was always overseas and it wouldn't work in the States. That's not even the case. And when you look at Fortnite, the Worlds that Fortnite did, they had no sponsorship for that. That's how popular it was. They could easily monetize it, and then they chose not to. That's amazing. It's like the Rose Bowl. Right? We don't want any sponsors. We don't need it. So,
yeah. So, and you've kind of woven this in multiple questions or multiple answers already. But, revenue opportunities, your job, right? Monetizing. You mentioned endemic. So endemic versus non-endemic, you talk about your colleague that you bring to Ford to speak about it. I guess my question then is, I'm sure there are plenty of opportunities endemic. What's the struggle you have with non-endemic getting those kind of sponsorships?
It's really it's going to make me sound like an ageist. It's the decision makers are old. They're more mature in their career, so they believe in spots and dots. And I know my column inches work here. I know we're 30-second spot on the radio does this, and they just don't want to change. They don't want to change what they're doing. However, in a COVID world, I was running a Learfield property back during the Great Recession, and people, oh, what are we going to do? People are dropping. I think this is great. They are actually going to reevaluate their advertising spend. And we just have to be buttoned up to provide a good case why your money, you just wanted some change. And COVID is going to help with that, where companies are going to, instead of buying their 120 ROS radio spots, they're going to look at something new and maybe a different audience or whatever it may be. So that's really the struggle. Is you just have, I think, just non-believers that are the decision makers, because they are yelling at their kids, stop playing video games. And it's not about that. Why do my kids play? My son, who's a fifth grader, plays probably more than he should. However, it's his way of communicating with his friends. He puts on his headset, plays Fortnite, and they talk. It's no different than when I was growing up and I'm on the phone talking to my friends. Nobody uses the phone to talk, the rotary, the dial-up. This is a way that they communicate to one another. And, my mom, God bless her, 75 years old, she's like, oh, they played too much. Mom, so that's how he's talking. That's his way of socializing. It's specifically now in COVID, where here on the West Coast, we're all virtual learning. And so it's good that he has this outlet that he can slap on some headphones, play a game, but they're not talking about playing a game. They're talking about what's going on. Did you go to practice? Are you going to go to practice today? That type of thing. So there are just decision makers that aren't at that stage yet. The acceptance isn't there yet. It's coming, but what's kind of unique is that esports has opened up new categories that I can at least visit with. I never would have gotten a Doritos sponsorship. Snickers isn't gonna buy a sponsorship at Miami of Ohio. It doesn't make sense for them, but they would at the HyperX Esports Arena, absolutely. So the challenge is that, and we'll probably get into some of this with some of your other questioning. There are a lot of non-endemics investing into teams. I don't know if that's the wisest thing to do. Now, I'm coming from a facility, so obviously that teams are my competition. But what I'm finding is that the sponsorship person that represents these teams is a little green. And thank you for your signed check. I'll see you next year for the renewal. Whereas you need to activate and really steward this deal, because there is some skeptical components to company. Nissan, for example, I've talked to them in the past, like, well, we don't know if we're going to renew it, but they did. But it's when you hear that, you're like, okay, they're not getting what they thought they were going to get. When if you just sign for 1 year, because sponsorship is really valuable by year 3. You have to continually do it and pound that messaging and repetitiveness. And so I think that as the industry matures, that what you have to do from a fulfillment side to keep sponsors happy and keep your advertisers happy. And I think there is a void there right now, again, because these teams are in their infancy, and this might be a sponsorship person's first role. Well, what are you doing for fulfillment? How are you providing the deliverables? Are you providing a report of what you did for this? Instead, they're like, okay, we put a jersey patch on and we're going to go to tournaments. Like, well, you got to do a little bit more than that. But so that's where I think that's kind of leads into the skepticism of why one, decision makers just are still non-believers, but it's turning. But the other thing is that on an industry side, we have to be better. We have to do better. We have to make sure that we are everything within that contract we are delivering. And I would advise you better over deliver. I mean, just steward the heck out of them. Make sure you're doing what you have to do, so you don't have to have those difficult conversations at the end where they're going to say no.
So
because you want to be first too. You want to be. I've told a couple of people, like, you don't want to be second. You want to be Coke. You don't want to be Pepsi. I mean, that's who advertised during the Great Depression. Coke did. Pepsi didn't. They have had that market share for 90 years now.
Yeah. So that perfectly leads into my next question then. And I'll change it a little bit to kind of, tailor it. Allied Esports Entertainment, what do you think you have gotten right about the competition, events, but additionally, I guess, the sponsorships, as we were just talking about?
Yeah, what we do really, really well is put on a fantastic show. Uh, we our CEO, when Judd Hannigan, when he was developing this, didn't leave anything for technologically. Somebody comes in, we have stuff that is far and above what we do. And we have 3 production rooms. We have a beautiful studio. I'm sitting at one of our caster areas, where we, again, the screens behind me, we're in storage. We have the ability to make an unbelievable visual experience. So we got a lot of that right. What we need to do is, again, I think it comes into, are we esport entertainers, or are we going to do esport competition? Because we are developing esport tournaments that are both LAN here in the arena, but some online initiatives. Our miss is that, how do we fill our Valorant tournament? That is we have a combustion series, which is Rocket League. How do we fill those up? Are we marketing properly to we lean heavily on our community of those that keep coming back, where I think our big miss is that we don't have the outreach to keep people engaged. And if you can get that, so you have to just, do you find a partner that has a Rolodex of many teams that, if we throw out, we're doing a Rocket League tournament with a $2,500 prize pool, doesn't cost anybody anything, and we can't fill that up. I mean, that's strange to me. But again, it comes back to who we marketing to, how much, where's the outreach from our side. I think that's been one of our misses, but marketing's so subjective. Everybody says, oh, it's really easy to be a marketer. I'm like, I don't know about that. There's a lot of matrices that go in to that. So I think, but that's one of our misses, specifically when everything shut down, because we fast tracked we were going to do online offerings anyway. We just really sped it up during COVID, during the first shutdown. So that's, I think we could be better at that.
So esports, live esports events, coming from your background with traditional sports, what are the unique opportunities that are presented, not only for your job, I suppose, but for innovation?
Yeah. Man. I think what's really cool is that I think sponsors are going to be able to integrate into the gameplay, specifically with Madden, the Pizza Hut stadium that they have. That's pretty ingenious if you think about it, because you're being served an ad without really knowing you're being served an ad. And the challenge is that you have, when you try to start monetizing everything, and you look on a Twitch chat and you see somebody and someone gets served a State Farm ad, and the Twitch chat goes crazy, like, oh, you sell out, you can't do. Like, listen, that's just the way of the world. There's nothing wrong with earning money, and I think there's some components where the esport ecosystem doesn't believe that, they think monetizing your stream or your name or whatever is bad, and it's not. It allows people to continue providing excellent content because they have money to back it up. Without money, or without investment, you're not going to be able to do anything. Our lights will go off if we weren't be able to monetize our stuff. So that's always a weird deal. We're getting to a point also where if you think you need to enhance your whatever it is you're going to do, you need to hire influencers. Man, they're expensive. They're for what you get. I was at a esports summit here in Vegas, and a room full of luncheon, there's 1,000 people trying to understand esports, and they have an influencer up on stage and saying that for your event to be successful, you need to hire influencers. Well, it's an influencer telling people to hire influencers. I think if you put on a really great show and opportunity, you don't have to go down that route, because you don't know. Again, a one-time hit because someone did an Instagram story is that really going to help grow what you're trying to do? However, we had some high level esport teams participate in our series in Europe, and that's what really helped grow our channel. So it's either here or there. The other thing what's the lifespan of a game title? I mean, is it because more game titles come out, is it going to dilute the interest where quality play isn't at the level of what it is? With Valorant coming on, what bite did Valorant take out of that type of gaming? With CS:GO, with Rainbow Six, or Call of Duty, did Valorant take away some competitive players from that? Fall Guys will evidently have the same thing on a younger audience. What aren't players going to play because they're playing Fall Guys? So how long's Fortnite going to last? It has it reached its apex? I don't know. It still seems to be pretty popular. It's our most popular event that we do. It's so. I guess you have to continue to evolve and figure out, okay, where are things? What direction can things go? And if you really hit on something, continue to do it and do it well. And that's where we excel. We do things really, really well in here. Again, because we have the tools. A lot of it's because it's not hard to jump online and have a camera in front of you and then, hey, look, you're a streamer. What's hard is to keep an audience and provide great content. And that's where we are. That's where it gets back to that. Are we entertainers or are we competitors? So
how do you and your company continue to grow and expand in this market? And I think this goes back to the connectiveness that you were talking about. Is that the secret right there?
I think so. I think if we provide an excellent experience, it's sensory overload when you walk in here, and we have it set up where we're in the Pyramid Casino in Las Vegas, for those that don't know. And when you walk in, we have a lobby and it has some gameplay, and I can see some people's faces say, "Man, you use that word arena real liberally." I'm like, oh, you haven't seen anything yet. So we go through a room called the Retro Dome, which is a circular LED board that glows and lights up, and then you walk into the arena and you're like, and everybody steps back like, holy cow, I didn't. So we have 35,000 square feet, and it's got the bones of an old nightclub, so it gets turned up to 11 at times. It can shake, and it's a lot of fun because we play loud music, and and initially when we started, we thought we were going to be like a nightclub, and in Vegas, nightclubs are really big because they have $500 bottle service and that type of thing, and our community and audience isn't that. So we're a Red Bull slushy with chicken fingers and fries type venue, and we're not overly expensive for gameplay. Parents come in here and they allow their kids, like, it's cool to play catch with my son outside. I love to go play catch with him in the driveway, right? I would love, or shoot hoops. I would rather shoot hoops at Hinkle. It's a lot cooler, and that's what this is. Something iconic. And so that's where the connectivity is, because once you come in here, you're going to always remember that time you played at the HyperX Esports Arena. Always.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't think of it. I haven't thought of it necessarily that way. It's really good. So you brought us up, Butler. From your perspective, how do we as a team, get our brand out there, increase our partnerships, revenue, all that stuff?
Boy, there are some really good esport organizations on the collegiate side. I'm convinced that is a market that is untapped, and I think Allied needs to do collegiate invitationals, and we were probably going to do one this year with the Pac-12 in conjunction with their football championship game. Now, yesterday they said they're going to play. I don't know if the championship game is going to be at the Raiders Stadium. So it's an easy connection to bring universities together and play something. So once you start an invitational, that'd be 12. The next year we're going to have 40. Next year we're going to have 80. And then that's the evolution of it. You just can't. You have to be patient with the growth side of things. I would really look at who I think does a magnificent job in their esport with their esport team is Boise State. Chris Doc Haskell does an unbelievable. He's been in here a few times. He takes it real seriously. It is a program that is funded well. How he got the funding, he goes to the military organizations on campus, and I think you guys could probably do that. Talk to your, I think you have our RTC at Butler. Go talk to them, and or talk to the local National Guard and say, listen, do you want to sponsor us, and make the investment attainable? Provide a schedule. These are the things we're going to compete in. We will, within our stream, or we'll make sure you're branded properly, or have something in the background. Just put something or have a watermark or a wipe away or a border or an overlay within your streams that highlight sponsors, because those are the ones that will do it. You could probably get a QSR too. I'm certain that there's a something in the student union that, whether it's Panda Express is hard, but there's probably a sandwich joint that would say, yeah, we'll be glad to do that, and start small. You have $5,000 investment for the year, and really activate it properly. You just have to make sure that people know that, oh, I saw you on the Butler Esports broadcast, and they're like, you did, because they're just non-believers. They're just, until they start seeing the affirmation that their investment is valid, you're going to be battling the legitimacy all the time. So, but I would talk to Chris with Boise. Air Force does a great job with theirs. We partnered with UNLV's 8-bit team, and they are really, really, really unorganized. And they think we need them, when in reality they need us. And it's this weird deal, to a point where I kind of want to boot them out. They're not gracious that we provide them with a space here in our arena for them to come practice. It's a weird deal. And when we ask them to do things, it's pushback. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're in the number one esport facility in the country. Don't push back. Just do what we ask. And we don't ask them for much. We had a deal with a region. It's RTC, and they have this trip to strip program. So they're trying to go against Uber and Lyft. And so we just said, hey, here's a free code. When you come to the arena, have your team call Trip to Strip and bring them to the Luxor. And none of them did it. I'm like, well, that hurt my sponsorship. And but I needed them to do it, but they didn't do it. So so that's kind of my advice on that. But there's money to be had. You just have to understand what the investment level is. My asks are a lot less than what I think our stuff is worth. But again, it's about eyeballs. We only get 700 views on our Fortnite tournament. Mario Kart show's really popular, but it's because of the in-arena experience that we put on. And if you walk away, if you did a survey, what did you recognize after you played Saturday Night Speedway? Oh, Volkswagen's everywhere. Well, yeah. Provide them ownership of it, and if they get that, wow, this is something brand new, because every company's looking at it. They just don't know how to enter it. And so you have a great value proposition to where as long as ego's in check and you just fulfill what you say you're going to do, you'll have them forever. It's crazy that way. You just got to make sure that on the back end you do what you're contractually asked to do, or what you agreed to. It's very, very, very important.
Yeah. So then, $1 million question that I'm asking everybody who comes on here. Maybe it's for me, so I get ahead of the game. But what do you think the next 3 to 5 years is going to look like for esports?
I think it's going to be really big. I think there are going to be everybody's cord cutting, right? Because everybody's streaming. I think there's going to be a movement to it was GSTV at one. I think it was GSTV. There's a gaming state. When I was in college, or up around the 60s and 70s on my channel dial, there was not an esport team, but basically a video game channel. Went away. It's coming back. I think that the Comcast, the Cox, the Xfinity of the world are the Charters, the Frontiers. if they're offering channels on cable TV, I think they're going to start having game-specific channels that fans can go to. I think you're going to see we're in the process of creating a sports center type show right around specifically for esports. Again, because we have this unbelievable facility to where we'll show highlights of this week's action in esports. So that's where I think the growth segments are. Once decision makers who are gamers now, or once gamers become decision makers at companies, that's when I think you'll start seeing some more money flow because of that understanding of where esports is and what it can do. It's really expensive to advertise on the Super Bowl, and everybody wants a Super Bowl ad. And what do you get out of it other than the next day? Hey, that ad rated this or that. So I think and that's a one-time hit. I think the repetitiveness needs to come into play. But a lot of it will come with the popularity of the games too. The Call of Duty League is really going really, really well. NBA 2K League does really, really well from a audience perspective. I don't know if ESPN and Fox Sports, when during shutdown and they were putting on the shows, I don't know how the quality of those shows. It was kind of like they were thrown together without a lot of thought. I think they had to be better because you had an opportunity to capture an audience. With traditional sports coming back, nobody my age is going to watch the esports stuff that they're putting out. They would rather watch Miami versus Florida State on Saturday night rather than a Fortnite regional championship. Whereas before they may have, or a Madden final or whatever it is. So, but I think there is tremendous growth coming down the line once the big brands start buying in, where they're not just dipping their toe in the water, they're actually going to jump all the way in. I've had numerous conversations with massive brands that they're just not ready. And again, COVID hurt that a little bit, but again, it's a lot of evaluation now that I think that's going to come into play. And with that evaluation, that's where the money will really come in. It'll be interesting. So do you go to the publishers to do it? Do you go to the players, the teams? Do you sponsor a facility? I mean, those are those are the $1 million questions. But I think from a university side, man, you guys have an unbelievable opportunity to capture because again, the argument was like, you don't want to be the second person I come talk to. You want to be the first. Jump in now where we can grow together, and you can do some fun, engaging. You can have some fun, engaging activations that your competition's probably Butler Athletics, Purdue, Notre Dame, that type of thing. What's going to generate eyeballs? Well, the university recognizes that they have to have esports as an offering. It's no different than making your rec center awesome or improving your dorms. It's about what's going to drive more attendance to the institution. Scholarships are coming, and so because of that, it's always going to be funded, and hopefully. So it's 3 to 5 years. I think it's all determined on what games are still really popular out there. I mean, that's I'm looking forward to the Call of Duty Cold War thing that's coming out because I historically like the Cold War point in American history. I think that's kind of cool. And so I will be more apt to probably play the Call of Duty new iteration than I did in this past one. So who knows? And now we've got new consoles coming out, so we'll see how that all plays with PS5 and Xbox. What is it called? Xbox, whatever the new Xbox thing is called. Yeah. I can't remember. That nobody can seem to buy. Pre-orders are sold out. Yeah. Our pre-orders sold out. So you have an opportunity to take over Xbox. You gotta get the machine in people's hands.
Yeah. So for students watching here at Butler or anywhere, or anyone who's just interested, you may not have had the traditional, if there is a traditional route to esports, but what career advice would you give to someone who wants to get into esports or sports marketing industry? Period?
Yeah. Well, if you want to get into sports marketing, I'd go march on over to I think Linkletter is your athletic director now, and say, hey man, I want to be on. Can I be a marketing intern or something? Again, if you want to work in external relations, that's more fun anyway. You don't want to do internal relations in athletic department. Nobody wants to make sure the pennies are counted and count and do eligibility reports. It's totally bad news you ever give. So you'd want to be on the marketing side or the development side where you're raising some money and you're meeting the people that have influence and make your program good. That's on the sports side. On the esports side, I think there's a misconception out there that parents with kids in esports think their kid is going to be the next Ninja or Dr. Lupo or Look, those guys are grinding for 10 years to get to the level there. Yeah, they make a ton of money now, but they hit at the right time. And sometimes, right place, right time. That's good for you. You prepared yourself for that one time when it burst. And we're still climbing. I would look at, are you wanting to be competitors? I don't know the quality of play how do you get to the level of where you're going to get paid to do this? I haven't been able to figure out. I'm just not. I'm a novice in evaluating skill for players. All I know is that I'll get calls from parents. I use that golf analogy a lot. Is because I worked for the American Junior Golf Association, and I would have dads call me and tell me when we wouldn't allow their son to play in a tournament because they get killed. And it devalues our tournament. Well, who can beat my son? And I'd say Grace Park, Beth Bauer, Leanne Harden. No girl could beat my son. I'm like, dude, you have no idea how good these kids already are. It's like that with esports. Is that they come in and, oh, my son's great at Fortnite. They come in and they finish. Well, have 70 play, and the kid finishes 68. I mean, that's how good they are. There's no coincidence that the same 5 or 6 people win our Mario Kart tournament every single week, even though we have probably 30 new people every single week, but the finals are always the same. They're just really good. So though you have to determine whether that's the direction you want to go. Do you want to get on the publisher side and work for game development, the marketing of that? I don't know how Fall Guys became popular because I had never heard of it until my son asked me to download it for him. But it's massively popular. All the kids play it. I mean, so what did they do to make their game a must-have? Valorant's the same way. So all these free downloads, they somehow are able to monetize it with microtransactions, that type of thing. Same thing with Fortnite. Fortnite, you didn't pay to own the game. You just pay for different skins, which do nothing for you except maybe improve your enjoyment because you want to play as a stormtrooper or and you want to have a Drake dance or something as your character. Yeah, it's only $5 to do it, but you do that 10 times. And you have 38 million people playing. I mean, that's pretty good. So I think you just have to determine the direction you want to go. If you want to help and support teams on the business side, I think you need a marketing person that can help get you into tournaments and play. Investigate free ones that you think you might be able to compete in, and then just keep practicing. That our allied esports tournaments that we do, our series, I'd recommend anybody to play them. They don't cost anything. Just see how good you guys are, and if you're really good, then you start talking to. And Discord's been an unbelievable tool for us because we can talk to other people, and other people talk to other people through Discord. And that's how you start developing. We're going to play against Florida. Florida State does a good job, I think, marketing their esport team. Boise does, obviously. And there are some other ones. And then just partner with them because they'll be the ones that are searching out things that university esport teams could enter into. And then from there, move forward with it. The Big East does a great job with what you guys are doing from the competition standpoint. It's fun to play in your studio against or your gaming center or whatever it is, but it's a lot more fun to be in person with fans playing, and that's where we come in. If there is a championship then you come do it. The Mountain West Conference does their championships in conjunction with the Mountain West basketball tournament at Thomas and Mack Center on the lobby or on the concourse. Like, why would you do it there? Look, I understand. Look, there's agreements between Thomas and Mack and the Mountain West, but why wouldn't you just do it in our arena? That way your parents can come. That way your girlfriend or boyfriend can come. You're coming to Vegas. Do it here. And so that's that once you start building that stuff, where you can, we need to do it at the HyperX Esports Arena. How much is it? Well, it'll cost this. Oh, we got that because we have sponsors that'll pay for it. We have an audience that will watch it. It's a ticketed event now. I mean, it's like a real sporting event. And I'm not saying that what they're doing now isn't a real sporting event, but it is it fits the traditional mold of what a sporting event would be. And I think that's as you're evolving in the industry for young people, just figure out which side you want to go on. And because everything's so new, you can wear multiple hats and become really good at what you want to do. I mean, we have guys that played that now are casters, and they are now broadcasters. There's a ton of opportunity. You want to have a voice and be on air and call something, because back in my day, that was impossible. You had like 5 outlets to do it. I'm going to be the next Keith Jackson or Kirk Herbstreit. That wasn't going to happen when I was growing up. There's one guy. Kirk Herbstreit's been doing it for 25 years already. He's still young. Now you have opportunity to be a caster where you can develop your own voice. We have a guy named Matt Sita, and he does our Mario Kart stuff. His calls they've gone viral for our Mario Kart tournament, where ESPN picked it up and Barstool Sports picked it up. 600,000 people watched this 30-second clip of him calling a blue shell hitting a guy right at the finish line. It's amazing to me. And so when you see that, it tells you that it's there, and you just got to figure out what you want to do. Lean on the people that will help. I'll help any of you guys that just send me an email, and I'll help you as best I can. If you ask, what should a proposal look like? What should a contract look like? What does a fulfillment sheet look like? Ask. I'll help out. I mean, that's what I love to do, is to see someone with passion that can be elevated with some advice or a system that I have in place. I'm not always an expert on it, but my systems have worked in the past, so I'll be glad to share. So feel free to share my email and contact information with anybody that has interest, because there's opportunities there. You go look at any HR site of any publisher or any league, and there's a job for you. And so just figure out what you want to do, and just just toss yourself into it and try to learn as much as you can.
That's great advice. So final question that we ask everyone we're bringing on. Yeah. You've mentioned names already, and if you want to say the same names, it's totally fine, but we ask you to throw your friends under the bus for us. But you've given us a unique perspective, and that's what we want to fill this interview series with. So who are 2 other people or organizations that you think we could contact that would give us some very unique perspectives?
I think Doc Haskell would be he'd work really, really well from Boise State. He's just a good dude. I've enjoyed talking with him. Because he battles with some rights agreements, and I'm an old Deerfielder, and so I know what challenges that he has, because I'd be the one fighting with him. I'd also reach out to Ryan Paladin on my side, and I'll be glad to make that connection. His wealth of knowledge is unparalleled in this industry. He handles our marketing analytics, and the things that he can, the data that he receives and what he can ascertain from that is unbelievable. He's been an unbelievable resource for me. I'd still probably be, I'd run into some trees in the dark forest, but with him, he's like giving me a flashlight so I can get the heck out of there and start figuring stuff out on my own. So he's been a great resource. And if need be, just ask me, I'll connect you with both.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for those suggestions. Like I said, those are the last questions. So it's kind of a wrap for the interview session today.
The other one, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it. The problem is that she's 8 months pregnant right now, but Stephanie Winkler at HyperX with what you're wearing, I think she would be from the business side of what a esports sponsor looks for, because they are continually looking at opportunities. I think she'd be a wealth of knowledge too. And there might be one other person, and his name, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he worked for the WWE, and he was instrumental in the Up, Up, Down, Down channel. If you're familiar with that, with Xavier Woods, it's a YouTube station, and that how they are, they make it seem like it's not a WWE product because of the authenticity that it has, but it's still under still under Vince McMahon's flag. He's amazing at providing that information of how he unfortunately was furloughed during during COVID, but he would be an unbelievable resource of how he did it. I mean, that's pretty amazing that he was able to create something that makes it look like it's not a massive company creation. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And it's entertaining. So
even more suggestions. We'll take them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me know of those. I'll be glad to make a connection.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your time. Thank you for all the information you've given us. Stay safe, stay well, go Dogs.
Yeah, go Dogs. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.